Picture this, 326 BC. The air is thick with dust and the clang of metal. Alexander the Great stands triumphant. His armies have done the unthinkable. They have conquered the Indus Valley. Persia had fallen. Egypt was his. Now, even the mighty kingdoms of India lie at his feet. For Alexander, it's another jewel in a crown forged in conquest. He set the stage for a clash of civilizations, a fusion of cultures. Alexander's success wasn't some fluke. His army, a finely tuned instrument of war, was light years ahead of its time. Macedonian phalanxes, bristling with long spears, moved with terrifying precision. Their flanks were guarded by companion cavalry, the elite of the Macedonian army, renowned for their devastating charges. And let's not forget the siege weapons. Catapults hurled stones the size of men. Battering rams, powered by dozens of soldiers, could splinter the toughest gates. But Alexander was more than just a skilled general. He was a master strategist. He understood the power of fear, the importance of logistics, the need to adapt to unfamiliar terrain and enemies. In India, he faced war elephants, chariots, and vast armies. He countered them with cunning, exploiting weaknesses, forging alliances with local rulers, and always leading from the front. His courage inspired his men. His enemies? They saw him as something close to a god. Conquering India was one thing. Holding it, that was a whole different beast. Alexander, ever the pragmatist, knew he couldn't simply impose his will on a land this vast and diverse. He needed a different approach. He needed to adapt. So he did what he did best. He learned. He studied local customs, respected existing power structures, and co-opted local elites into his administration. He established cities, strategically placed to control trade routes and project power. These weren't just military outposts, they were centers of learning, of commerce, of Greek culture, designed to bind this new territory to his vast empire. He left behind trusted generals, men like Peucestus and Seleucus, to govern in his stead. Their orders were clear: maintain order, secure the peace, and integrate this new land into the burgeoning Hellenistic world. Imagine the scene, a bustling marketplace in Taxila, one of the great cities of ancient India. Greek merchants, their sandals dusty from the long journey east, haggle over prices for exotic spices and silks. Indian scholars, their foreheads marked with tilak, engage in lively debates with their Greek counterparts, comparing philosophies and cosmologies. Soldiers, their armor glinting in the sun, swap stories of far-off battles and foreign gods. This wasn't just a meeting of armies or empires, it was a collision of worldviews, a fusion of cultures that would have profound and lasting consequences. Greeks, renowned for their love of logic, reason, and democracy, encountered a civilization steeped in spirituality, mysticism, and ancient traditions. New ideas took root, new religions began to spread. The very fabric of both societies began to shift and change. Section 5. The Ripple Effect, Indian Kingdoms Under the Greek Tide. The impact of Alexander's conquest wasn't felt equally across India. Some kingdoms, like Taxila, welcomed the Macedonians as liberators, eager to throw off the yoke of oppressive rulers. Others, like the Nanda Empire, resisted fiercely, only to be crushed by the Macedonian war machine. But even in defeat, there were lessons to be learned. Indian rulers, witnessing firsthand the effectiveness of Greek military tactics and administration, began to adapt. They adopted new forms of warfare, incorporating cavalry and infantry into their armies. They built new cities, modeled after Greek designs, and embraced the use of coinage, which revolutionized trade and commerce. The rise of the Mauryan Empire, one of the largest and most powerful empires in Indian history, can be directly attributed to the lessons learned from Alexander's conquest. Section 6. Riches of the East trade routes and economic booms. The conquest of India wasn't just about glory or power, it was about money. Lots of it. India was a land of unimaginable riches, a treasure trove of spices, silks, gemstones, and luxury goods that were highly sought after in the West. Alexander's conquest opened up new trade routes, connecting the Mediterranean world with the markets of India and beyond. Cities along these routes, like Alexandria Eschate in modern-day Tajikistan, flourished, becoming bustling centers of commerce. The influx of wealth had a transformative effect, not just on the economies of individual cities, but on the entire Hellenistic world. This new era of trade and cultural exchange would have a profound impact on the development of art, architecture, philosophy, and religion in both the East and the West. Section 7. Seeds of Change. The long reach of Hellenistic influence. Alexander's conquest wasn't just a momentary blip in Indian history. Its impact would be felt for centuries to come. Greek artistic styles, particularly in sculpture and architecture, began to influence Indian artists, leading to the emergence of the Greco-Buddhist art style, a unique fusion of Eastern and Western aesthetics. Greek astronomers and mathematicians shared their knowledge with their Indian counterparts, leading to advancements in astronomy, mathematics, and calendar systems. The spread of the Greek language and culture facilitated the transmission of Buddhist scriptures and ideas to the West, influencing the development of Western philosophy and religion. Section 8. The Legacy of a Conqueror, a fusion of East and West. Alexander the Great died young at 32, but he left an indelible mark. Conquering India, he sparked a cultural exchange, a fusion of East and West. Imagine a world where East and West blend. That's Alexander's legacy. Section 9. A World Transformed. The Enduring Impact of Alexander's Conquest. Imagine a world where Alexander had never ventured into India. Would the Silk Road have flourished? Would Buddhism have spread to the West? Would the world we know today be so interconnected, so influenced by the exchange of ideas and cultures? These are the questions historians grapple with, the what-ifs that make history so endlessly fascinating. What we do know is this: Alexander's conquest of India wasn't just a footnote in history, it was a seismic event, a clash of civilizations that helped shape the course of history. It opened up new trade routes, sparked cultural exchange, and planted the seeds for a more interconnected world. And in a world increasingly defined by globalization and interconnectedness, perhaps the legacy of Alexander's conquest is more relevant than ever.